The Switch is quietly becoming the go-to place for roguelikes and shoot-em-ups alike, and with the release of Steredenn Binary Stars, we see the two fuse together to create a brutally tough yet rewarding 2D side-scroller. While it doesn't jump off the page visually, and the music quickly becomes grating, the core mechanics and power-ups are satisfying enough to continuously smash your head against the wall, as you slowly make progress from run to run. While the ruthless difficulty will certainly be enough to turn some off, it becomes increasingly gratifying for those who choose to embrace it. Many shoot-em-ups inherently feel similar to roguelikes, leaving you underpowered and facing an uphill battle after losing a life. Developer Pixel Nest Studio noticed the match seemingly made in heaven and decided to go full roguelike with Steredenn, forcing the player to restart from scratch with every failed attempt. Each run has you progress through a number of segments filled with legions of enemies, culminating with a fun and well-designed multi-phase boss fight. As you blast enemies into pieces, the occasional cargo ship will be dispatched to the scene, yielding a new weapon when destroyed. While you can only have one weapon active at a time, ships have 2 slots, and with the press of a button, you can switch between the 2 on the fly. Ships also have a unique special attack, which add another tool to the arsenal. Limiting the ship's capabilities as such makes the control straightforward and easy to grasp. Within just a run or two, I felt in full control, leaving me to focus on trying to survive the chaos on the screen, which proves to be a daunting task. It can't be understated just how difficult this game can be, especially since it throws no life jackets your way. Making progress comes at the expense of repetitively slamming your head against the wall, which, depending on your mindset, can either be extremely rewarding or incredibly frustrating. Runs tend to be relatively short, which works well with the focus on replayability. Where Steredenn really separates itself from other shoot-em-ups is with the wide selection of weapons. There are more conventional weapons such as fire blasters, lasers, and standard shots, but far more interesting weapons such as bots, swords, and others help to keep each run feeling fun and exciting. There are pros and cons associated with each weapon that must be taken into account when deciding how to approach a stage. For example, the sword power-up attaches a giant sword to the front of your ship that inflicts a huge amount of damage, but in order to land a blow you must be very close to the foe, which leaves you in harm's way. Using the 2 weapons in conjunction with one another is not only beneficial, but necessary as the game continues to ramp up its difficulty. I found the most fun and effective strategy was to use bots alongside a more standard shot. This allowed me to unleash a few bots to pepper the enemies with bullets, helping to keep the battlefield a little less hectic, while I zeroed in on a specific group of enemies. There will be times when you get some unfortunate drops that lead to doubling up on one type of weapon, but more often than not, there's a good amount of diversity among the power-ups in each run. While the power-ups are random, you do have choice when it comes to your ship selection. Starting with only one well-balanced ship unlocked, new ships with different abilities and traits become available to you as you progress and defeat certain bosses. Testing out each ship is encouraged, as finding which suits your playstyle will be a big factor in how well you do. From a presentation standpoint, Steredenn looks good, but fails to really differentiate itself. Solid pixel art, interesting enemy design, and some nice, albeit somewhat generic backgrounds are present throughout, but this tends to be commonplace for the genre. The most impressive thing is the explosions after defeating a boss, which is a nice visual reward before actually being rewarded with a modifier to boost your ship's stats. While graphics look nice, I found the soundtrack to be grating after just a short period of time. I actually found myself playing with the volume turned off, which is an uncommon practice for me. In addition to the standard game mode, there's a daily run where you have a single run to get your highest score to compete with others online, a co-op mode where you share a single life bar, an arena mode where you can hone your skills against bosses you've defeated, and finally a boss rush mode. The game runs well in both handheld and docked modes with no slowdown. I did, however, have the game crash on me once, but luckily it seemed to be an isolated incident. With so many shoot-em-ups and roguelikes hitting the eShop, it's difficult to know where exactly to start. Steredenn Binary Stars might look like a generic shoot-em-up on the surface, but it offers quite a bit to be excited about. I found the wonderful selection of weapons and the multi-phase bosses an absolute delight despite the relentless difficulty. While the all-or-nothing nature will be more than enough to turn off some people, for those who welcome it will, without a doubt, find themselves proclaiming, just one more run.